Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Abdul Momen, lecturer in English, Department of English of the National Government College. Today, I'm going to start a new class, and which is very special for the students of honors third year who are studying in English department of our college, as well as all the students who are studying in English from all the colleges of our country. The special class will be uh, John Donne's famous famous poem. The name of the poem is a Valediction, forbidding mourning. Forbidding mourning. You know that forbidding mourning, a Valediction, forbidding mourning is very important poem. And as you have come to know about John Donne, that he is called a metaphysical poet. And why he is called a metaphysical poet, you know well, because you got this term metaphysical poem or metaphysical poet like John Donne in your first year. So no need to waste the time to discuss what is metaphysics, what is metaphysical poems, who is metaphysical poet. We don't waste this time. So today we are going to learn the very important topic going through this poem of John Donne. The topics are learning topics are: number one, poem recitation; number two, meaning of the stanza. I mean, every stanza you will get from every stanza the paraphrase or the meaning of the lines, and I will talk about the title of the poem, and also I will talk about the short summary of the poem. Actually, I'm going to summarize the poem and critical appreciation. If I have the time to discuss it, inshallah I will discuss it. Development of the thought, and with discuss with having some themes of the poem. So, yes, you have come to know that who is John Donne. John Donne was born, obviously, into a Roman Catholic family on the 22nd of January in 1572 in London, United Kingdom. His parents were John Donne, a wealthy Londoner, and Elizabeth Haywood. Thomas More, a famous Catholic martyr, was his grandfather. Unfortunately, his father died in 1576 when he was only 4, leaving Elizabeth alone with the responsibility of bringing up young children. After his father's demise, his mother remarried with a surgeon, Dr. John Simmons. Later, she became the Dean of St. Paul's. Unfortunately, she died in 1632. Okay, as we have come to know that John Donne belonged to a religious family. He was educated privately during his early years. In 1583, he took admission at Hart Hall, Oxford University. There he studied for 3 years and left without graduation because of his Catholic beliefs. According to him, the oath of supremacy was against his beliefs. It was required for the completion of the degree. Later in 1591, he got admission in Dept in legal school in London to pursue his education. However, during and after his education, he spent much of his precious time on literature, travel, and pastime. In 1615, he was awarded an honorary doctorate from Cambridge University. Okay, as you have come to know about the married life and his tragedy, John successfully established his diplomatic career by the age of 25. He secretly married Anne Moore in 1601. He became the member of parliament later. We know well. Their families disapproved of their marriage and did not receive any dowry from her parents. John was also sent to prison for a short period. However, he was released shortly when their marriage was legally approved. The couple had 12 children in 16 years. 12 children in 16 years of their marriage. But only 10 survived and 2 died. Unfortunately, his 3 children died before 10, leaving him in a state of acute despair that drove him into committing suicide. The death of his wife during childbirth in 1617 added more to his pain and misery. So to say, it was the tragedy of his life. So, as a student of literature, and I am also the teacher of literature and a student also, we have to know that a writer's background always has an impact in his writing. That's why I have discussed about John Donne's life, background, and his family life. So, John Donne, a great preacher, obviously, and orator, fell ill in 1624. He documented his illness in his publication, Devotions upon Emigrant Occasions. However, after facing tragedies of life, this prolific figure breathed his last on the 31st of March 1631. He was buried in Old St. Paul's Cathedral. Okay, so, as you have come to know those important facts of his life, that he was the chief exponent of the metaphysical school of poetry. He served twice as a member of parliament, first time in 1601 and the second time in 1614. Although he wrote masterpieces in his life, his collected poems appeared posthumously. Okay, so let's start the interesting poem of Valediction forbidding mourning. So I'm Abdul Momen, going to recite the poem. So listen to the recitation. A valediction forbidding mourning, as virtues men pass mildly away, and wish for to their souls to go, whilst some of their sad friends do say, the breath goes now, and some say no. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, no shy tempests move. It were profanation of our joys to tell the lady our love. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant, but trepidation of the shepherds, though greater far, is innocent. Dull sublunary lovers love, whose soul is sense cannot admit. Absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. But we, by a love so much refined, that ourselves know not what it is, interested of the mind, careless eyes, lips and hands to miss. Our two souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go and you not yet, a breach but an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. If they be two, they are two so, as steep twine compasses are two. Thy soul, thy fixed root put, makes no snow show to move, but doth if the other do. And though it in the center seat, yet when the other for doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it, and grows erect as that comes home. Such wilt thou be to me, who must, like the other foot, obliquely run. Thy firmness makes my circle just, and makes me end where I began. So here, two love has become one, and the compass is, as we remember from the poem Good Morrow, the same sense is present in this poem. So, if we think about the title Valediction, so what is valediction? The word valediction means a goodbye or a farewell. Goodbye or a farewell. Coming from the Latin veil, for veil means be well, and dept for say. So, a speech that says be well. So, valediction means be well. The poem says goodbye to a lover. But it forbids mourning. It forbids mourning. Why? Because the speaker is telling his lover not to grieve for him. The word valediction, so you have got the point that what is valediction means, or what is valediction meant, you know well. So, if you think about that, the poem says goodbye to a lover, but it forbids mourning because the speaker is telling his lover not to grieve for him. It says, so let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, no items move. He doesn't want dramatic grieving with big sighs and floods of tears. This is because he doesn't want to display their feelings for each other to everyone. But it forbids mourning because the speaker is telling his lover not to grieve. Okay, so this is the main matter. analysis. So if we analyze each stanza, you know that each stanza contains uh, 4 lines. So in the first stanza, as virtuous men pass mightily away, and to whisper to their souls to go, whilst some of their sad friends do so. The breath goes now, and some say no. So in this stanza of Valediction forbidding mourning, the speaker begins with an image of death. He is speaking on the death of a man who is virtuous due to his good nature. His death comes peacefully. Donne compares dying in this instance to whispering one a soul away. One a soul away. There is nothing dramatic about it. Whisper is a perfect example of onomatopoeia. You know the figure of speech. The word sounds or resembles the noise it represents. Okay, so the dying man is not alone. There are sad friends around his bed who are unable to decide whether or not the man is dead. His final moments are so peaceful that there is no sign to tell the onlookers the end has come. They speak to one another, asking if the breath goes now or not. So in stanza 2, so let us melt and make no noise. In this stanza, the poet says that, so let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, no shy tempests move. It were profanation of our joys to tell the lady our love. The second stanza might come as something of a surprise to readers master to Donne's complicated use of conceit. Okay, rather than explaining what the first stanza was all about, it adds additional information. The speaker is comparing the peaceful death of a virtuous man to the love he shares with the intended listener. When they separate, they do so without the tear floods, shy tempests of the shallow. Donne's speaker sees the way other partners are around one another and knows his relationships is better. He and his partner would never be so cross as to expose their emotions to the laity or common people. It is something they kept to themselves. He states that it would be a profanation or disgrace to their joy to expose it. They will make no noise and remain on the high ground above those involved in lesser loves. Stanza 3. So in stanza 3, in stanza 3, the lines are, moving of the earth brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant, but trepidation of the shepherds, though greater far, is the innocent. The third stanza introduces another image of natural disaster, the moving of the earth or an earthquake. It is something unexpected and unexplained. Uh, Earthquakes also bring along harms and fears. These lines have been added to emphasize the absurdity of making a big deal over the speaker's departure. The next 2 lines of Valediction, forbidding mourning. Okay, is it clear? Okay, it is clear. Valediction forbidding mourning are a bit more obscure. They refer to the celestial spheres or concentric circles in which the moon, stars, and planet moves. Although they are sectioned off, they still shake and vibrate in reaction to other events. Here the speaker is describing their trepidation or shaking. It is a greater shaking than that which an earthquake is able to inflict, but it is unseen, innocent. This is another metaphor for how the speaker sees his relationships. It is not the showy earthquake, but much more powerful shaking of the celestial spheres. Stanza 4. In stanza 4, as we have come to, or as we have go through the lines that dull sublunary lover's love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence because it doth remove those things which alimented it. The speaker returns to describing the lesser love of others in the 5th stanza. It is dull and it is sublunary, meaning it exists under the moon and rather than it in the sky. Those who participate in these relationships are driven by their senses. The soul of the relationship is based on what one's senses can determine. Physical presence is of the utmost importance to these loves. They cannot admit absence because it doth remove the entire relationship. Everything shallow lovers have with one another is based on touch and sight. In Stranger 5, but we buy a love so much refined that our slaves know not what it is. In this stanza, fifth stanza, Valediction, forbidding mourning, provides a contrast to the fourth. He returns to his own relationship and of himself, speaks of himself and his wife as we. They talk or speak each other. They have a refined or well-tuned and highbrow relationship. Their love is so beyond the physical world that they physical beings have trouble understanding it. They know not what it is. The next two lines reiterate the fact the love the speaker and his wife have is spiritual. Okay, it is more mental than it is physical. This means they are interissued of the mind and do not care for the eyes, lips, and hands. When they part, these are not the elements the will means about one another. In Stranger 6, our two souls, therefore, which are one, as you have come or you have got the same sense, same thing in Good Morrow in the poem, namely Good Morrow. So our two souls, therefore, which are one. Two souls has become one. So this is oneness of the unity, of the unification. So a breeze but an expansion, like gold to aid the thinness bit. The sixth stanza begins with a fairly straightforward and recognizable declaration about marriage. They might have two separate souls, but now they act as one. So oneness is the fact in this stanza. It is due to this fact that when they part, they will not endure a breach but an expansion. Their love will stretch as gold does when it is beaten thin. It is the same even when pushed to the limit. It is also important to take note of the fact that Donne choose to use gold uh, as a representative of their love. He recognizes the elements of his relationship in its durability and beauty. So in Stranger 7, we have quoted the lines, or if we go through the lines, that if they be two, they are two so. As steep twine compasses, right? Good morrow. Good morrow মতোই এখানে বিষয়গুলো বলা হয়েছে. As steep twine compasses are two, thy soul, thy fixed two makes no show to move, but doth eat the other two. It is in this point the valediction forbidding mourning that the image of the compass, as discussed in the introduction, becomes important. First, Donne goes back on his previous statement about their oneness. So he knows there might be some doubt of their inter-issued relationship, so he makes this concession. If the meaning himself and his wife are two, then they are the two legs of a compass. Donne speaks of his wife as being the fixed foot of the device. She has the steady soul that remains grounded and never makes a show to move. His wife only moves if the other do, meaning himself. So in Stranger 8, we see that Stranger 8, we see that, or if we go through the lines, that and though it in the center seat, yet when the other part doth roam, it leans and hearkens after it and grows erect as that comes home. In the Stranger number 8, valediction of forbidding mourning, the movement of the fixed foot is further described. Initially, it is in the center of their world, everything revolves around it. Then if the other leg, the one compared to Donne, decides to roam far into the distance, it leans. This is the only movement that his wife makes. When he needs her to, she hearkens after him, then straightens up again or grows erect when he comes home or returns to the fixed point. In Stranger 9 and last Stranger, such wilt thou be to me who must like the other foot obliquely round. Thy firmness makes my circle just and makes me end where I began. The final four lines describe the metaphor in full, just in case any part of the compass analogy was in doubt. Brings him back in. She has a firmness that makes his circle just or keeps it within a limited area. No matter whether he does or where he roams, she will always get him back to where he began. যেখানে তারা শুরু করেছিল. So if we summarize this poem, if we summarize this metaphysical poem, why it is metaphysical? It is metaphysical because the main points and the talk of the poems are love, uh, oneness is also love, religion, God, faith, this soul. These are the talk of the topics of a metaphysical poem. So if we summarize the poem in short, we can get that the speaker opens with an image of good men dying quietly, softly urging their souls to leave their bodies. These virtuous deaths are so imperceptible that the dying man's friends disgrace about whether or not the men have stopped breathing it yet. The speaker argues that he and the lovers he is bidding farewell to should take these deaths as a model and part ways silently. They should not give in to the temptation to weep and shy excessively. So the poet here urges not to shy excessively. In fact, grieving so openly would degrade their private love by broadcasting it to ordinary people or publishing it to ordinary people. So natural earthly disturbances such as earthquakes, heart, scare human beings. Ordinary people, while being larger and more significant, go unnoticed by most people. Boring, commonplace people feel a kind of love that, because it depends on sensual connection, can't handle separation. Being physically apart takes away the physical bond that their love depends on. The speaker and his lover, on the other hand, experience a more rare and special kind of bond. They can't even understand it themselves, but they are linked mentally, certain of one another on a known physical plane. So because of this, it matters less to them when their bodies are apart. The souls of the lovers are unified by love. So love here plays an important role, like the poem Good Morrow. So love is the focus of the poem. Although the speaker must leave, their souls will not be broken apart. Instead, they will expand to cover the distance between them as fine metal expands when it is hampered. Okay. If their souls are in fact individual, they are nevertheless linked in the way the legs of drawing compass are linked. The soul of the lover is like the stationary foot of the compass, which does not appear to move itself but actually does respond to the other foot's movement. So this is this stationary compass foot sits in the center of a paper. একটা পেপারের সেন্টারে বসে compassটা. So paper, when the other compass foot moves further away, the stationary foot changes its angle to lean in that direction, as if longing to be nearer to its partner. As the moving foot returns, closing the compass, the stationary foot stands straight again, seeming alert and excited. The speaker's love, he argues, will be like his stationary foot, while he himself must travel a circuitous indirect route. Our fixed position provides him with the stability to create a perfect circle, which ends exactly where it began, bringing the speaker back to his lover once again. So this is if we talk about the themes, we know that this is metaphysical themes. So the theme of the spirituality is intimately connected with love. Spirituality, oneness here is spiritual oneness. Donne's speaker, which certainly Donne himself declares the love he shares with his partner to be spiritual in nature. It goes beyond that which ordinary people experience. This means it can overcome any mundane barrier life throws at it. The first lines of this text bring up the death. He describes a group of friends who were gathered around the deathbed of a virtuous man. So the discussion amongst themselves beneath this person is going to die, and to which breath might be his last. But utilizing death to later speak on life, Donne is tapping into the tradition of carpe diem poetry. These types of poems promote a way of living that keeps in mind the ever-present prospect of death. So, dear participants and dear students, already it is 30 minutes. So, I don't want to exceed or don't want to increase my video more than 30 minutes or up 30 minutes up. So, 30 minutes is enough for this poem, and inshallah we'll talk and we will discuss another poem of John Donne if I get the opportunities or according to my convenience. So, till then, Allah Hafiz, and if you have any question, please put the comment into the comment box, and no more now. Thank you. Allah Hafiz and bye bye. Assalamu alaikum.